Just a couple weeks ago, a few weeks before Passover, I had the honor of joining a couple in marriage, overlooking the ocean with a very well-timed pod of dolphins swimming by. Under an actually surprisingly gray and cloudy sky, I shared with them words from the Song of Songs, that scroll that we read during Passover. And while the most quoted verse from the book, especially at weddings, might be Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine, I chose a different one for that couple and for that night. It's one that I remember from our old Baskin Haggadah, recited just before Karpas during the Seder, and one that Josh just sang so beautifully, where it says, "Arise, my darling, arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rains are over and gone." And I said to the couple that night, here we are on an early spring evening. The winter is just past, and here in California, I didn't know about last night, we can probably assume that the rains are over and gone. Here we are, I said to them, at a new beginning, a night of hopes and dreams and promises. I could say the same to us here tonight, the seventh night of Passover and Shabbat. Tradition teaches that today is the day we crossed through the sea, walking through a valley of ocean to reach the other side, singing and dancing with that first sweet taste of freedom. Here we are then, at a new beginning, a night of hopes and dreams and promises. Oh, and it's Earth Day. I've long been enamored of the fact that the Passover Seder, just like the Torah, ends with a cliffhanger. Just like Torah, we don't finish the Seder in the Promised Land, but in the wilderness, a place of uncertainty and even danger. We finish one journey from slavery to freedom, but begin another from the desert to the Promised Land. We finish one journey from that narrowness to wilderness, but begin another. The Omer takes us from Passover to Shavuot, from the unknown to the moment of the covenant. The Omer, these 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot, it wasn't originally a time of deep spiritual reflection and introspection. We have the mystics to thank for that. And it wasn't even in the Torah, this journey from the Sea of Reeds to Mount Sinai. That is actually a later understanding, poetically imagined by the rabbis of the Talmud. The original understanding of the Omer was an agricultural marker, a counting of time between the beginning of spring, the tentative first plants, and then the first real harvest. And here we are, Earth Day. Rabbi Arthur Waskow is an 89-year-old rabbi and environmental activist, and he wrote years ago powerfully about the Omer, a piece to which I return year after year. He wrote, 7 weeks of 7 days. Day by day, week by week, the community watches the spring grain grow, watches with hope and with anxiety. Day by day, week by week, the community moves forward from the moment of freedom's first explosion, moves forward with hope and with anxiety. Will the earth succeed in unfolding its fruitfulness? Will we succeed in finding rest and new truth in our freedom? Day by day, week by week, the community counts the days of growing grain, and through them counts the unfolding of the earth and of our own potential. Day by day, week by week, for this is no holy day, not even a week-long festival, but truly a season of the year. A season full of hope, full of anxiety that hope may fail. Now, growing up on the East Coast, I certainly understood seasons, but not exactly the way the Torah did. To this day, I can easily conjure the smell of grass at my summer camp, walking to the dining hall in a summer storm. I can also easily conjure the smell of a steamy Manhattan sidewalk in a rainstorm, but we don't often write poetry about that. My summer camp days year after year were full of rain. We had specific rainy day activities, and to this day, I miss a summer thunderstorm. Spring growing up did not mean the end of rains. If anything, we look forward to them more. In middle school, I signed up for a week-long swim camp in Southern California, and my mom called the director concerned about what would happen to practices in the outdoor pool if it rained. Correct. You can, I think, imagine the director's reaction. Not until I moved to Jerusalem, actually, did I understand our liturgical weather calendar, why we prayed for rain in the fall and simply for dew in the summer. I still remember that glee and that sense of connection I felt waking up one morning of Sukkot to puddles on my Jerusalem mirpeset, the balcony outside my apartment wet from the first rain of the season. And not until I moved back here to Los Angeles did I understand what Rabbi Waskow really meant about anxiety. Arise, my darling, my fair one, come away, for now the winter is past and the rains are over and gone. What happens, though, when the rains never come or when the rains are not enough? What happens when the water levels dip too low? What happens when, even when the winter is past, the hills are still brown? These are, admit, questions I never thought to ask in that rain-soaked childhood, whether the hills of Pennsylvania or even the concrete jungle of New York. But they are questions that our text asked, even thousands of years ago, and that we might ask tonight, crossing the sea once again, facing the future on Earth Day. In Deuteronomy, just after we read the words of the Shema that we know so well, there's a section known as the second paragraph of the Shema. And it reminds us, if then you obey the commandments that I enjoin upon you this day, I will grant the rain for your land in season, the early rain and the late. You shall gather in your new grain and wine and oil, and I shall also provide grass in the fields for your cattle, and thus you shall eat your fill. Take care, though, not to be lured away to serve other gods and bow to them. For God will shut up the sky, so there will be no rain, and the ground will not yield its produce. Perhaps because of its if-then theology or that suggestion of immediate reward and punishment, this is actually a text that our early reformers expunged from our prayer books. But each time I read it, it seems clear that the voice of the Deuteronomic tradition even then linked our human behavior and some sort of ecological ramification. Because here's the thing about that second paragraph of the Shema. It's not written in the second person singular. It is not a demand on us as individuals the way the V'ahavta is. And it's not written in the third person. There's no he or she or they who's supposed to do the work. The words are written in the second person plural, the communal you. It's not written to each of us, but to all of us. It is not, or not only, a demand of individual action, but of collective responsibility. My teacher, Rabbi Richard Levy of blessed memory, wrote an interpretation which is included in our Sidurim, linking his words to the V'ahavta that we chant. It's the text, actually, that his daughters chose to remember him with at his funeral. And he wrote, if we can hear the words from Sinai, then love will flow from us, and we shall serve all that is holy with our intellect and all our passion and all of our life. And if we can serve all that is holy, we shall be doing all that humans can to help the rains to flow and the grasses to be green, the greens to be golden like the sun and the rivers to be filled with life once more. All the children of God will eat and there will be enough. But if we turn from Sinai's words and serve only what is common and profane, making gods of our own comfort or power, then the holiness of life will contract for us. Our world will grow inhospitable. We are once again at the beginning. We are 1 week past Passover, less than 1 full week into the Omer. Freedom is new, and so is possibility. So we are counting, and we are waiting. 7 weeks of 7 days. Day by day, week by week, the community watches the spring grain grow, watches with hope and with anxiety. Will the earth succeed in unfolding its fruitfulness? Day by day, week by week, for this is no holy day, not even a week-long festival, but truly a season of the year, a season full of hope, full of anxiety that hope may fail. The winter is past, the rains are over and gone. Will they return, we wonder, and will they be enough? And what can we, each of us and all of us, do now to change the answer for tomorrow? Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.